Our protagonist is Suzuki, an ordinary programmer caught in the relentless grind of IT realm, crowned the king of all professions, yet far from a golden dream. Like so many others, he's shackled to the capitalist machine, clocking in even on Sundays. When a new colleague, crushed by the pressure, abruptly quits, Suzuki is left to shoulder the burden alone. As he wrestles with the extra workload, that very colleague returns briefly with feedback from a client. They want the war-themed game to be easier for beginners. Ironically, they had initially demanded a brutal difficulty to hook players. Though frustration simmers beneath his calm, Suzuki holds it in and proposes a solution after character creation. Players get a special map-sweeping item and 3 bombs to clear obstacles up front. If players manage to clear areas without using these aids, they unlock rare achievements. The idea is clever enough that his boss, Big Suzuki, orders him to implement it. But Suzuki is tied up fixing bugs in a mobile game, so he tells his teammate to renegotiate the deadline with the client. The weight of responsibility presses down as deadlines loom. During lunch, Suzuki's moment of respite is broken by the soft cries of a little girl. Looking around, no one else is there. He steps forward, heart drawn by the lost child's tears. Learning she's lost, Suzuki plans to escort her to the police station. But before he can, her mother appears. Relief floods him, a rare warmth in his weary world. Even more touching is that the mother doesn't mistake him for a suspicious stranger, just an ordinary, kind man. Back at the office, Suzuki buries himself in debugging until nightfall. His colleague, meanwhile, decides to go home, after 3 relentless days at work fearing his wife might file for divorce. Suzuki himself is 29, still single, and resigned to selling his time to capitalism for as long as it demands. 3 more grueling days pass, and Suzuki's eyes mirror the panda-like exhaustion of endless coding. Just as completion seems near, a testing team flags a critical bug in the game's storage system, a maddening item duplication glitch that defies easy fixes. Amid this chaos, Suzuki receives an email from Big Suzuki. The client wants to remove storage limits from another game. Frustration threatens to boil over, but Suzuki swallows his anger and pushes forward. After countless sleepless hours, he finally meets the deadline. Exhausted, he collapses into sleep after 30 hours of relentless work, seeking a brief escape from the grind. As Suzuki drifted into sleep, he found himself in a place utterly foreign. Of course, it wasn't Earth. His phone showed no signal at all. Even stranger, he appeared as his younger self, just like back in high school. Then, taking a closer look, Suzuki realized this world setting felt oddly familiar, a blend, stitched together from the 2 games he'd been debugging for days. Even the name Sato matched the in-game test character he often used. Moments later, a cacophony of footsteps closed in on him. Checking his skills, Suzuki saw he had 3 meteor showers and 1 map sweep abilities he had crafted himself to aid new players. After sweeping the map, he discovered every red dot was an enemy, 300 of them, all level 50 while he was barely level 1. Facing such overwhelming odds, Suzuki chose flight over fight. Yet somehow, the enemies pinpointed his location and landed blows, making him question if this was truly a dream. To survive, he unleashed a meteor shower. But then, as if caught in a glitch, nothing happened. He tried the other 2 meteor showers, the same result. Just as despair gripped him, hundreds of meteors thundered down, felling the lizard soldiers one by one. Suzuki soaked in a flood of experience points with every enemy defeated. When the meteor shower ended, the battlefield lay in ruins. Yet, 1 lone soldier survived, standing just beyond the blast radius. For reasons unknown, this survivor tossed Suzuki a sword offering a fair fight. Of course, Suzuki was overwhelmed. Swordsmanship was foreign to him. Fortunately, the soldier's blood was nearly spent from the meteor shower's wrath. Sensing this, Suzuki hurled the sword back, landing a strike that sent the lizard soldier to the afterlife, for now, an admirer of naked chickens in the beyond. Though it was just a dream, the brutality weighed heavily on Suzuki's heart. Seeking escape, he tried to log out, but the attempt failed. Thankfully, he had learned self-healing skills. His wounds vanished. Even more astonishing, Suzuki's level skyrocketed to 310, and all his stats maxed out. The meteor shower skill was ready to use again, just a flip of a switch. But fearing its massive mana drain, he tested it once more. The firepower and blast radius were staggering, even with him casting it far from his spot. Luckily, his boosted level came with improved stamina, letting him outrun the shockwave from the explosion. The realization hit hard: if he kept using this skill recklessly, he'd become the villain of this tale. So Suzuki decided to keep it off, only unleashing it in dire moments. Peeking into his inventory, he spotted a water pouch. Taking a sip, he found the water delicious and the pouch's capacity limitless. He also discovered a stash of money earned from wiping out the lizard army. Digging further, Suzuki found a cloak waiting for him. The journey had just begun, but Suzuki's spirit was already forging a path-etched discovery, a stepping stone toward mastering this strange, merciless world. So, without hesitation, he put it on. That night, he dove back into upgrading every combat skill he could master, determined never to face the same dire straits as he had that afternoon. At dawn, Suzuki set out toward a place marked on the map as the soldiers' fortress. One mountain after another, he crossed endless forests, pushing forward with relentless resolve. After days of this grueling journey, Suzuki finally arrived at his destination. Glancing at the map, he spotted over 100 soldiers nearby. But that wasn't all, there was also a W lurking close by. Curiosity piqued, he leapt up to get a better look, and suddenly it swooped down and collided with him. Yet the fall didn't faze him. His level had soared too high for pain to linger. Seizing a nearby stone, Suzuki hurled it, piercing the dragon's wing with a sharp hole. The W, writhing in agony, fled straight toward the soldiers. Feeling responsible, Suzuki chased after it to see how things would unfold. Sure enough, they clashed and the soldiers banded together to bring it down. Not understanding their language, Suzuki upgraded his translation skills. Thanks to this, he learned the commander was issuing orders to the troops. Despite seamless teamwork, their arrows couldn't pierce the W's thick scales. Still, they fought brilliantly, forcing the beast to fall and take damage, but all in vain. Not a single scratch marred the W. The commander then ordered a young woman named Jenna to hold it back. However, her magic rebounded off the creature, blasting her away. Seeing this, Suzuki sprang into the air and pulled off a classic hero move, rescuing the damsel in distress. When Jenna came to, panic flashed in her eyes as she realized they were perched high above the ground. Suzuki, sensing her fear, jumped even higher to escape that perilous spot, leaving her utterly amazed. Once safely grounded, Jenna showered Suzuki with heartfelt thanks. Watching her expression, he chuckled, thinking, if this were high school days, I'd be head over heels right now. He introduced himself as Sato, and Jenna politely returned the favor, deliberately stressing she was still single. Their conversation flowed until suddenly, an arrow zipped past Sato's face. It came from Jenna's comrades, mistaking him for a kidnapper. Only when Jenna urged calm did Sato get a chance to explain he was a merchant. Still, suspicion hung thick. They doubted his identity because he carried so little gear. Quick on his feet, Sato spun a tale. His carriage had run off during the meteor shower earlier. But the women weren't convinced. If that were true, he should have fled in the opposite direction. Cornered, Sato confessed he'd been visiting the grave of a benefactor of his father's at the fortress when the meteor storm struck. He tried chasing the runaway carriage but failed. Yet doubt lingered, and they demanded papers. Undeterred, Sato claimed he left them in his coat on the carriage. Luckily, with his fire filter and persuasion skills, he managed to convince them to drop the interrogation. Soon, they granted him passage across the river to the city to get new documents. From afar, Sato noticed soldiers collecting loot from the fallen with. Jenna explained their armor and cloaks, made from the dragon's tough hides, fetched high prices. But their meat? A horror on the palate, only tolerated by Westerners and slaves. With time on his hands, Sato checked Salu's population stats: 80% civilians, 20% mostly slaves, and not just humans but also an elf and a demon tribe among them. Just as he finished, the city came into view. When Jenna asked about his plans, Sato said he'd rent a room for now. Hearing this, a blonde swordswoman suggested a place called Get. Entering the city, Jenna excused herself early. She had reports to file but promised to repay Sato's kindness by seeking him out later. Meanwhile, Iona took him to handle the paperwork. The clerk instructed Sato to place his hand on a magical stone and loudly proclaim his name. As he shouted Sato, his status screen appeared, still showing his humble level 1. The clerk was surprised. He'd expected someone younger, as 15 was considered adulthood here. The permit cost a single silver coin, and merchants' taxes were waived since Sato had saved Gina's life. The clerk also handed him a seal, acting like a visa valid for just 10 days. To stay longer, he'd need to renew it at this office or city hall. If caught by soldiers with an expired visa, the fine was 1 copper coin or worse, enslavement if unable to pay. After guiding Sato to the inn signpost, Iona bid him farewell. On the way, Sato's excitement grew as he soaked in the bustling city. Suddenly, a young voteur girl grabbed his hand, eagerly pulling him toward her own inn, knowing he was new in town. Using his detection skills, Sato learned she was just 13, surprising, given the inn's modern amenities. Coincidentally, it was the same inn Iona had recommended. The owner, a plump woman who happened to be the girl's mother, Sato joked that if she lost 15 to 20 kilos, she'd be a stunning beauty. He explained his lack of luggage, prompting her to charge just 1 large copper coin for his stay and offer a free dish if he dined at the inn's counter. The truth surfaced. Of course, Sato remained a master of secrets since the information appeared while he was still level 1. The official in charge was stunned to discover Sato was already an adult, as he had assumed the boy had to be younger. This revelation shocked Sato too, for in this world, turning the 15th of March, K's the passage into adulthood. To obtain the license, Sato only needed to pay the man 1 silver coin. And the merchant's tax? He was exempted, for Sato was the lifesaver of Jenna. Moreover, the official handed Sato a seal that functioned like a visa. Yet, it was only valid for 10 days. Should he wish to stay longer, he'd have to renew it at this office or the city hall downtown. If caught by soldiers with an expired visa, he'd be fined 1 copper coin. Unable to pay, he would be condemned to slavery. After leading Sato to a spot where the inn sign was visible, Aona bid him farewell. On the way, Sato brimmed with excitement at the sights around him. Suddenly, a young voter girl approached, grasped his hand, and eagerly tried to drag him to her inn, knowing he was new here. Using his appraisal skill, Sato discovered she was only 13. This surprised him, as her place had decent electricity and water at such a young age. Coincidentally, the inn she led him to was the same one Aona had recommended. The innkeeper was a plump woman, also the girl's mother. According to Sato, if she shed 15 to 20 kilograms, she would surely become a beauty. Sato explained why he had no luggage. Hearing this, she decided to charge him only 1 large coin to stay, and offered a free dish if he dined at their counter. Sato agreed without hesitation, planning to stay for 10 days. Then he asked if there was any food left, since he hadn't eaten for days. Past mealtime, only a few pre-made cakes remained. With no other options, Sato ordered one. Then the innkeeper mentioned the foolish merchant group's mata from that morning. Surprised she called them fools, Sato asked why. The woman, Mosa, explained that during the meteor shower, they screamed, claiming the demon lord was declaring war on the valley's dragons. Sato was shocked. He hadn't expected a demon lord in this world. The innkeeper said it had been 70 years since the hero defeated him, and no news of his resurrection had surfaced. Still, Mosa wasn't too worried, as the demon lord would likely attack Maze City first, a place far from their current location. Here in Salu City, the Weenvan tribe posed a bigger threat. Since Mosa mentioned that species, Sato asked about dragons. She said they spent most of their time sleeping and rarely ventured out. The last dragon seen by humans was 2 years ago, and long before Mosa was born, a black dragon attacked the city. Just as Sato was about to ask about casualties, a guest arrived, and the conversation paused. Seizing the moment, Marta appeared, suggesting that mixing the dish with pickled vegetables would make it even tastier. While she was free, Sato asked her about shops selling ready-made clothes. Mata eagerly introduced him to some famous tailors. While Sato focused intently on the map before him, Mata volunteered to guide him around. As they wandered the streets, Sato suddenly noticed a demi-human girl being treated cruelly. Because she was a slave, no one dared touch her. Unable to stand the injustice, Sato stepped in to help. A young man nearby mistook her for Sato's slave and told him to chain her up in the Western District. Thoughtful and kind, Sato tied together some wooden planks for the slaves. Witnessing his gentle care, the other slaves were astonished and expressed deep gratitude before leaving. Even Mata was surprised to see Sato treat demi-humans with such kindness. She explained that demi-humans were unwelcome here, as many hunters and farmers had been killed when they came to sell goods. But Sato believed those tragedies might have been caused by bandits rather than the demi-humans themselves. Later, Martha led him on a tour through many parts of the city. Along the way, he learned the art of negotiation while visiting various shops. To show his appreciation, Sato bought Martha a beautiful hairpin, a small token of his growing friendship. They soon stopped at a stall selling dragon masks worn by locals during the harvest festival as a blessing for peace. Besides masks, the shop also offered black wigs resembling those of heroes. Other colours were for their comrades or princesses. Unable to resist the charm, Sato ended up buying both the mask and a wig, caught in the spell of the festival spirit. As they moved on, Sato's attention was captured by a young slave girl perched atop a carriage. Though only 11, she had already reached level 10, holding 2 titles, Exiled Witch and Mad Princess. Returning to the inn, Sato met Junie, a girl working part-time there. After greetings, he asked if there was a bathhouse nearby. Mata explained that while the city had a public bath, common folk weren't allowed to use it. Usually she bathed behind the inn by a well. Putting that aside, it was already dinner time. Sato decided to follow Mata's food recommendations. Each dish was a revelation, bursting with flavour, and he was so delighted that he ordered an extra combo, unable to resist the tempting aromas that filled the evening air. Returning to his room, Sato's memories began to piece themselves together. After a deep reflection, he realised that the story unfolding around him wasn't matching the game he had programmed. It was too strange for a mere dream like a game world, yet one where he couldn't log out or save his progress. Determined to uncover the truth, Sato decided to venture outside on his own to investigate. His plan? To explore this world first, with finding a way home as a secondary goal. The more he explored, the more insights he could gather, just like a game developer studying his creation. The next morning, Martha knocked on his door, telling him that his girlfriend was waiting downstairs. Confused about when he got a girlfriend, Sato went down and found Gina, who explained that since there were no missions today, she wanted to take him on a city tour. Not wanting to disappoint her, Sato gladly accepted. Jenna led him to buy some pastries, and in a smooth, gentlemanly move, Sato insisted on paying. This caught Jenna off guard, as she was just about to repay him for yesterday's kindness. But to Sato, their bond was already balanced after all. She had helped him navigate the city. Beyond that first pastry, they wandered through many spots, trying different treats. One delicacy was called dragon wings, which was actually fallen wings. Just as Jenna reached for one, a boy accidentally bumped into her, staining the borrowed cloak from her mother. At that moment, a girl appeared, offering to clean the stain with magic. With no other choice, they accepted her help. She led them down an alley and cast a water-based spell that washed the cloak's spotless and even refreshed Sato's eyes. Only after the cloak dried through a gentle wind magic did Sato dare to look back. Leaving the alley, he asked Jenna about the spell's incantation. Hearing it, Sato thought she was speaking a foreign language or chanting nonsense. When he inquired further, he learned Jenna had only seriously studied magic for 3 years. Though her parents had guided her early on by giving her magical history comics, they had planned for her to become a powerful mage. Jenna never complained she found joy in the idea of flying someday. When Sato was asked why he learned magic, he replied it was because the inn had no bath, so he wanted to use magic to avoid bathing outdoors. Jenna burst into laughter. This was the first time she'd heard such a reason. Making the beauty laugh earned Sato the title of class clown, and, when he expressed admiration for her dream to fly, also gentleman. After wondering a bit more, they stopped at a stall selling healing salves. Sato decided to buy some for the innkeeper who had helped him so much. Once the purchase was made, Jenna asked if there was anywhere else he wanted to visit. Sato said he wanted to climb to the city's highest point, so Jenna led him up the city walls, where they could feel the wind and admire the cityscape from above. From afar, Sato spotted a massive windmill. Jenna explained that if the enemy W ever attacked, it would serve as an energy source. Seeing his interest, she promised to take him there. Along the way, they passed a shrine and decided to stop by. Inside was a mural depicting the battle between heroes and the Demon King. According to Jenna, the holy sword glows blue only when wielded by a hero. Curious, Sato asked if anyone else could make it shine. She replied it could, but only if the sword recognized the wielder. Suddenly, a nun named Ona appeared, warning that wielding the holy sword wasn't always good. Only heroes who answer the call of the goddess Paran can stand against the Demon King. Then, Ona teasingly asked Jenna if she was dating Sato. Embarrassed, Jenna fumbled to explain. To save time getting to the windmill, they hired a carriage. But soon, the wheel hit a rock, causing Jenna to fall into Sato's arms. Turns out, the driver had staged this to get them closer. Afterwards, Jenna explained the city's defense system. Each tower had a powerful magical cannon, though one was destroyed by a small dragon 2 years ago. Fortunately, damage was minimal compared to 40 years ago, when the outer walls were raised by a black dragon. Sato asked if the Demon King was behind these attacks. Jenna said it depended on the villain's nature, and the scariest were demon kings who cunningly controlled the demon tribes, beings vulnerable only to magic and enchanted weapons. Just then, they saw a large crowd gathered around a priest ranting about the Demon King's minions. The priest claimed the half-demons were remnants of the demon tribes and urged the crowd to pass judgment on them to earn merit. Unable to watch, Gina rushed to stop this cruelty. Sato, using his appraisal skill, realized those half-demons weren't slaves of the priest, but controlled by a man from the G faction watching from afar. His henchmen were stirring the crowd. While Jenna defended the half-demon girls, Sato quietly took down the agitators one by one. Then, a priest from another temple arrived to support Gina, escalating the heated confrontation. Meanwhile, the mastermind watched the chaos with delight until Sato appeared. Before he could react, Sato delivered a crushing kick to his abdomen. Sato dragged the mastermind before the crowd, exposing his scheme. This man had supplied the temple with slaves while deceiving people by selling fake holy stones. The townsfolk's suspicion that he was a demon tribe member proved true. At that moment, Sato recalled when he first arrived and scanned a demon tribe member in the city. While the townsfolk fled, 3 half-demons couldn't move, bound by collars that would kill them if they acted without their master's order. When their master was killed by that demon tribe member, the collars no longer restrained them. Seizing the moment, Sato instantly broke them free from their bonds. Meanwhile, the demon clan warrior unleashed a sudden dark magic. When Jenna arrived with reinforcements to aid Sato, she was inadvertently caught in the shadowy spell alongside him. Awakening, Sato found himself and 3 demi-humans trapped inside a cave, their ears haunted by the ramblings of the one-eyed monster from before, whispering of terror. The beast vowed to spawn creatures that would tear Sato's group apart, feasting on their fear as they fell. Once the demon had vanished, Sato introduced himself to the 3 girls. Lacking names, they entrusted him with the honor of naming them. He christened the little cat Tama, the puppy Pochi, and the lizard girl Lisa. With a generous spirit, Sato handed them towels and water bags to cleanse themselves, along with salves to heal their wounds. Though grateful, the girls hesitated to accept such kindness, unused to gentle treatment until Sato's firm command made them relent. After washing away the grime and pain, the group shared a hearty meal. Sato then assessed their situation. His skills effortlessly mapped the labyrinthine paths ahead, and even pinpointed Jenna and her soldiers' positions. Strangely, there was no sign of the one-eyed demon anywhere, a fact that filled Sato with unease, wondering if a deadly ambush awaited their journey. At that tense moment, the continuation presumably follows. But the original ends here. Seeing Sato prepare to move, the three girls grew fearful. They said they'd be willing to act as Baitif, only he agreed to lead them along. Sato quickly reassured them he had no such plan and only wanted to scout the path. Then he handed Elle a sword, reminding her to fight only on his command. After moving a bit, Pochi Chi suddenly caught the scent of blood. Approaching carefully, they found a monster gnawing on a human corpse. Leah advised Sato to sneak past while the creature was distracted. But instead, the young man chose to fire his gun, using it to hone his sniper skills and swiftly take down the beast. Watching this, the girls were stunned and deeply curious about his weapon. Since it looked nothing like a gun, Sato explained it was a magical weapon, cautioning them to keep it secret. Afterwards, he used parts from the slain monster to craft a spear. Turning to hand it to Lyra, he noticed she was searching for the monster's career valuable item she wanted him to keep. With a new weapon in hand, Lisa passed her sword to Tama. Next, Sato used his gun to break the chains binding the girls. The surprise of it all gave Tama and Pochi quite a fright. After apologizing, Sato told them to follow him out of the maze. Despite slaying many monsters along the way, the girls' levels remained unchanged. This sparked an idea in Sato, who asked Tama to collect stones. When encountering monsters, he would injure them but not kill. He instructed Tama to throw stones to distract, while Lyra stabbed with the spear. After their efforts, Sato delivered the finishing blow. He told Tama and Elle to stay behind and gather monster cores, while he and Pochi continued the routine. But in panic, Pochi fled after throwing stones. After dispatching the creature, Sato chased her back to the others. Once calm, Pochi immediately apologized. Sato wasn't angry, he only feared her panic might cost her life. They repeated this strategy many times, and eventually Tama and Pochi reached level 5, while Elle advanced to level 6. Seeing their exhaustion, Sato urged them to rest, and shared food so they could regain strength quickly. He encouraged them to relax fully, but Lyra refused. So, adopting a stern tone, Sato ordered her to sleep, while he kept watch. After resting, they resumed their journey, slaying many monsters. Along the way, they discovered an old house and gathered useful supplies. Soon, the girls managed to defeat a monster on their own. Celebrating their victory, they enjoyed a delicious grilled frog feast. After eating, the three bathed and then rested to recover. Continuing onward, they suddenly encountered a level 10 slime. Sato tried to incinerate it with fireballs but failed. Then Elle advised aiming for the slime's core to defeat it. Meanwhile, Tama noticed something strange about the wall behind the slime. Upon inspection, Sato discovered a hidden passage. Just then, a level 40 wolf appeared, attacking Sato since he was closest. Using the trap near the secret passage, Sato knocked the wolf down through the opening. Pressing onward, they found 3 cages with living prisoners inside. Sato instructed the girls to help free them. The first was a nobleman, who promised a reward for his rescue. The second was a slave trader. The third was the young man who had scolded Pochi Chi before. Refusing to be touched by demi-humans, he demanded she hand over her knife. Sato told Pochi to step back and ignore the man. The nobleman, irritated by the young man's tone, warned he could roast him alive without the spider demon's help. After moving some distance, the demi-humans heard sounds of fighting ahead. Sato ordered the 3 prisoners to stay close behind and directed the girls to assist those battling. But Somaru, the young man, ignored orders, eager to prove himself. The result? Not only did he fail to defeat a low-level demon called Slam, but he also ended up humiliated, needing rescue from the demi-human girls. Thanks to Sato's team support, the soldiers regained their footing. Sato couldn't find Jenna nearby and rushed to search, discovering her restrained. He freed the beauty, earning a warm embrace. Their tender moment was cut short when Ona interrupted, insisting they prioritize eliminating demons. When asked by the priestess, Sato revealed he knew the demon's weaknesses through Leah. Meanwhile, Jenna felt sorrow upon hearing Cuss mention another girl. Once all demons were defeated, Ona healed the group. Jenna regained her composure upon learning Lyra was the demi-human girl she had met in the square. While waiting for soldiers to break down the iron gate, Tama sensed something odd about a wall. Behind it was another passage connected to where Sato had pushed down the wolf earlier. Just then, soldiers panicked upon discovering a treasure chest. But inside was no gold or rich as it was the one-eyed demon. To defeat it, the nobleman asked soldiers to buy him time so he could cast a spell. Hearing this, the demon unleashed rock magic to shatter. Their defensive line stood firm, but then a wave of sound swept through, twisting reality itself. Soldiers, trapped in illusions where friends turned into foes. Even the demi-humans weren't spared, forcing Sato to render them unconscious. Meanwhile, the noble had finished casting his spell, desperately trying to vanquish the demonic beast. Yet, his magic was futile. The creature's resistance to sorcery was absolute. Glancing over the battlefield, Sato realized he was the last one standing. But just then, the wolf from before appeared, snarling for a fight. Thinking quickly, Sato let it shove him down a secret passage. Once alone, he drew a sacred sword from his inventory, a weapon that allowed him to effortlessly fell the wolf without draining his strength. However, the holy blade didn't recognize him, and each strike left Sato wounded. Defeated, he sheathed the sword, waiting for it to accept him. Meanwhile, Jenna and the soldiers struggled against the demon tribe's foe. Suddenly, Sato re-emerged, disguised with a wig and a mask bought from the market. His timely aid gave the mages a precious opening to strike. The three demi-human girls regained consciousness. Though they couldn't see Sato, they sensed his familiar scent. Not wanting to reveal himself, Sato hastened to finish off their enemy. The demon realized it was outmatched and summoned a magical circle. Sato moved to block it, but the foe had anticipated this, restraining him. This delay gave the demon enough time to call forth its master, a fragment of the demon lord himself. The towering fiend rewarded his subordinate by granting him an eye, merging with him by swallowing him whole. After absorbing his brother, the demon lord roared, swelling with power. With no other choice, Sato wielded the sacred sword once more. Seeing the familiar blade, the demon mistook Sato for the hero and buffed his body to an impenetrable fortress. This made Sato's fight harder, unable to unleash the sword's full power. Planning a meteor shower, he realized the cramped space made it impossible. It wasn't just Sato fighting, everyone was pitching in. Though damage was modest, the magic was effective. Remembering Jenna's advice, Sato maximized his orb skill, set aside the sword, and wielded a staff to cast an upgraded spell. To his surprise, the demon cowered under the onslaught, suffering grievous wounds. Onlookers mistook it for high-level magic, though it was only basic spells enhanced by Sato's skill. Then it hit him the world's truth. Only heroes can fully wield the holy sword's power. Though Sato bore the sacred blade, lacking the hero's title limited him. Yet he held a similar honor, the slaughter god. Combining this with the divine sword from his inventory, Sato unleashed a final blow that obliterated the demon before it could grasp what hit it. Back on the ground, the three demi-human girls rejoiced at seeing Sato. But their joy dimmed when he told a soldier that they weren't exactly his slaves. Setting that aside, the soldier informed Sato that someone wished to meet him. The three girls watched silently, anticipation and uncertainty swirling in the air. The beast girls, when Sato told them to follow, instantly brightened up like dawn breaking after a storm. At that moment, a young man named Samaru appeared, expressing gratitude to the beast girls and apologizing sincerely to Pochi for having kicked her earlier. Once he left, Jenna suddenly ran up and embraced Sato tightly. Meanwhile, after the fierce battle, Sato finally earned the title of hero. Thanks to Mr. Nidoran, the three beast girls officially became Sato's slaves. Besides helping him with the paperwork, Nidoran also wanted to introduce some other goods. Then, from a small hut, a fragile girl named Lulu stepped out to greet Sato. The second girl was Arasathi, same girl Sato had met earlier on the street. What surprised Sato even more was how easily Arisa pronounced his name. Suspicious, the young man whispered a phrase to both girls. Only Arisa reacted. She said there was a spider on both their heads, in perfect Japanese. Still, Sato chose to keep both, unwilling to abandon them. Through Arisa's outgoing personality, he learned she was quite the opposite of shy, delicate Lulu. Curious about his new slaves, Arisa approached Pochi and Tama, complimenting them warmly. Seeing this, Leah stepped forward to greet the newcomers. Sato was genuinely happy. They showed no prejudice against the Beast Girls. Just as they entered the city, Lulu's stomach growled loudly with hunger. Picking up on this, Sato cleverly suggested they find something to eat. Pochi and Tama's eyes lit up at the idea. Arisa was amazed by Sato's kindness. Slave girls like them were usually fed only black bread, and the best they got was hot soup. Elle's group got just one meal a day, often resorting to wildflowers and weeds to fill their stomachs. Feeling moved, Sato treated the girls to a lavish feast. Their eyes sparkled like stars when they saw the spread of delicious food. Yet all the girls remained polite, waiting for Sato's permission before tasting anything. Pochi and Tama, overwhelmed by the feast, forgot to blow on their food to cool it down. Arisa was nearly drowning in the cuteness overload of the two. Though not as fancy as the Gethin, the food here suited Sato's taste pretty well. Unlike Sato, the little beast girls weren't used to spicy food yet. Only Arisa could handle it. so she advised the others not to push themselves and try milder dishes. Then Sato noticed their clothes were all worn and tattered. Deciding to fix that, he went out to buy new outfits for them. Elle offered to accompany him, but Sato ordered her to stay and eat with the others. On his way back, Sato spotted a grilled chicken stall and bought several skewers, remembering Elle's fondness for the dish. But when he saw a group of hungry beastmen along the road, he generously gave them the chicken, promising to replace it for Elle later. The girls looked radiant in their new clothes, and even Elle admitted her master had good taste. Next, Sato led the girls back to the Geth Inn. With the group growing, he planned to rent another room, but the landlady said the inn was fully booked. What bothered Sato most, though, were the unfriendly glances aimed at the beast girls, so he decided to camp out with them, while the other two stayed in his room. Arisa then whispered to him to stay calm, secretly using her magic to soften the townsfolk's heart. Their attitudes shifted immediately, and the landlady even remembered the stable could be used. Sato created a cozy shelter for the three beast girls, warning them to yell if anyone sneaked in he would come to their rescue. Back in his room, Lulu tried to help him change clothes, but Sato declined. He was further flustered when both Lulu and Arisa stripped down, and were shocked when he told them to put their clothes back on. Lulu burst into tears, feeling useless to her master. Sato comforted her, draping his jacket over her and telling her not to do such things anymore. Later, while sleeping deeply, Sato suddenly learned spiritual and anti-spiritual magic. When he slowly opened his eyes, he saw Arisa sitting on top of him naked, and then she forcefully kissed him. Without his anti-spiritual magic, Sato might have ended up with the FBI knocking on his door. Arisa was shocked he could nullify her skill. To prevent further trouble, Sato forbade her from using magic. Only then did he realize Arisa had used it on the inn's patrons earlier. So, besides forbidding her, he demanded she remove the enchantments. Arisa feigned innocence, but Sato upgraded his interrogation skills to make her spill the truth. He discovered that from their first meeting, Arisa had fallen head over heels for him. Her long black hair and innocent face made him want to marry her. Now that Sato was her master, she refused to serve him, instead using magic to bind him to her. Originally, Arisa only planned to sneak into his room to watch him sleep, but passion overwhelmed her desires. She then confessed she was also Japanese, having been reincarnated here with memories of her past life intact. Judging by Sato's black hair, she guessed he was summoned here as a hero. Arisa also revealed Sato was the second Japanese person she'd met in this world, not Lulu but her great-grandfather. If she had been born in Japan, Elle might have been an idol with her looks, though no one here saw her as beautiful. Returning to the main topic, Arisa asked Sato if he was reincarnated or summoned. To her, reincarnation meant dying in the previous world and being reborn here. Summoning meant being forcibly brought here by magic. But Sato didn't fit either category. No gods appeared. No summoning circles glowed. Arisa confessed she used magic to get close to Sato. Truth be told, her initial plan was just to sneak into his room and watch him sleep, but desire overwhelmed her restraint, leading to an unexpected embrace. Then, she revealed she was also Japanese born into this world, with memories intact from her previous life. Noticing Sato's black hair, she guessed he was summoned here as a hero. Arisa also mentioned that Sato was the second Japanese person she'd met in this realm, not Lulu, but her great-grandparent. If she'd been born in Japan, Elle might have become an idol with that beauty, though here no one found her particularly pretty. Returning to their conversation, Arisa asked whether Sato was reincarnated or summoned. To her, reincarnation meant dying in the previous world and being reborn here, while summoning implied being forcibly brought through magic. But Sato fit neither. No gods had called him, no summoning circles appeared, and his level was a perfect one, untouched and pure. Sato pondered how unbalanced it was that he wielded meteor shower magic so powerful from the start. Setting that aside, he questioned why Arisa had become a slave, but the author held that secret tight for now answers would come later. The next morning, Matha escorted Gina straight to Sato's room to fetch him. Both froze hearing Lu's misleading words, and then saw Sato asleep beside a naked young girl. Jenna screamed at Sato for being a pervert and fled. Arisa advised her master to chase after Gina. Without hesitation, Sato changed clothes and leapt from the window, determined to catch up. Next, the young man reached out, taking her hand. The scene presumably continues. At that moment, Sato gently unraveled the tangled misunderstanding, assuring her everything was just a mix-up. He confessed that buying slaves wasn't about those dark deeds. Arisa's presence in his bed, she had sneaked in while he was sound asleep. Then, with a charming smile, Sato showered Jenna with sweet compliments on her outfit, and casually mentioned knowing a boutique, with stunning fashion offering to take her there. Arisa couldn't help but praise Sato for calming things down in less than 5 minutes. Hearing that, the young man flicked her lightly because she was the root of all the chaos. After telling Arisa to go fetch the others, Sato's mind drifted back to that evening's memories. According to Arisa, She was once a princess in her past life. She had tried to use her previous knowledge to bring prosperity to the kingdom. At first, everything was smooth, but as time passed, cracks began to form. Fierce disputes erupted, and while her kingdom weakened, neighboring realms launched invasions. They publicly executed the king and the crown prince, while survivors lost their status and were reduced to slaves. Then, unexpectedly, a demon appeared, shattering castles and walls. Amidst the chaos, Arisa and Lulu fled to the mountains. Just when they thought safety was near, a slave trader discovered them. Back in the present, the girls had gathered together, except for Lee, who looked unwell. Sato handed Arisa a pouch of coins, instructing her to buy essentials for everyone. The beast folk would accompany them, guarding against pickpockets and kidnappers. To prepare for the worst, Sato even allowed Arisa to use magic. Seeing the girls united, Sato felt a rare peace, believing they deserved more than a life in chains. With just the two of them left, Gina asked Sato if he had any plans today. The young man replied he intended to find shelter for the beast folk. Wanting to stay close to Crus, Gina requested to come along. Soon, they arrived at an office to meet a broker named Nadi. Learning of Sato's wish to live with the beast folk, she suggested the West District affordable but riddled with crime. However, Sato preferred places costing about 1 gold coin per turn. On their quest to find lodging for the demi-humans, Jenna, eager to stay close to Cruz, insisted on joining. Together, they visited an office and met a sharp broker named Nadi. Learning that Sato wanted to live alongside the demi-humans, she suggested the Western District affordable but crawling with crime. Yet Sato aimed for places costing about 1 gold coin per turn, so Nadi offered several options. The first looked decent, but its previous owner was assassinated by a criminal. The second faced a notorious red light district. The third hid a criminal gang's hideout beneath it. None fit Sato's expectations, so Nadi promised to return to her office and find better places. While waiting, Sato asked Jenna if she wanted to go anywhere. Hearing this, Nadi suggested they visit the flea market that had just opened yesterday, whispering to Jenna that it was perfect for couples. But halfway there, they bumped into the demi-humans. They had just finished shopping and stored their goods in the lodging. In their new outfits, each girl looked irresistibly cute. Arisa even changed her hair color, having heard purple was a bad omen here. Sato then led the whole group to the flea market with him, apologizing to Jenna for deciding on a whim. Jenna brushed it off, and to make it up, Sato gifted her a pair of earrings. Just then, Arisa chimed in, saying she wanted to buy something too. Sato promised to get each of them a gift they liked. Later, the group gathered at an open-air stage to watch a romantic play not exactly the kids' taste. Even Elle was more interested in the skewers around the stage. The play was based on a true story about an ordinary mage named Jen, who Sato promised to get each of them something they liked. The group then headed to the outdoor stage to watch a play. It was a romantic genre not really the kids' taste. Even Elle was more focused on observing the skewers around the stage. The play Sato watched was based on a true story about an ordinary mage named Jen, who shared a romantic love with Princess Latina. The princess's fiancé, consumed by jealousy, ordered the massacre of Jen's entire family and threatened the princess's servant, who ended up killing him. Heartbroken, the princess took her own life to be with her beloved. Just when it seemed over, a twist appeared. Jen's corpses were thrown into a ravine but revived, transforming into a force that wiped out the cruel lord's henchmen. As they prepared to eliminate the lord himself, a holy knight appeared and killed the revived Jen. From that moment, the lord's personality suddenly changed, purified. He became a good man. On a bathroom break, Sato found a handkerchief. When returning it, its owner asked Sato's thoughts about the play. She explained that originally, Jen was killed after avenging the lord, but the nobility opposed this, so it was changed. According to the true story, the female lead was a commoner happily in love with a man, until the lord kidnapped her and forced marriage. After bidding farewell to the handkerchief's owner, Sato rejoined the group. He noticed that only Jenna and Arisa were seriously watching the play. Though their impressions differed, instead of feeling sympathy for Princess Latina, Arisa thought the princess should have taken up a sword and avenged the lord. Jenna shot back, saying the princess was the cause of everything breaking the engagement between the two families. Unwilling to lose, Arisa asked Jenna whether she would choose the person her family picked or the one she loved. Jenna froze, unable to answer. Torn between duty and love, her choice was impossible. Seeing Jenna's struggle, Sato stepped in, telling Arisa to apologize. To lighten the mood, he sent his slaves to buy grilled skewers, of course paying for all. While strolling, they bumped into Iona's group, who were battered from a fight with Ant Fangs. The trio said they'd seen a group of rat cavalry crossing the border, suspecting they attracted the Ant Fangs' attack. After Rena treated her teammates' wounds, they heard a scream Junie shouted upon seeing Tama's group had caught a giant ant. Sato checked surroundings and spotted more ants approaching the city. He ordered the girls to prepare defenses. Though the enemy was numerous, their levels were low, so even without Jinvu's spear, the army could handle them. Many ants couldn't even breach the simple protective barrier. Since Lulu couldn't fight, Sato told Arisa to take her somewhere safe. Pochi and Tama were assigned to guard the inn. Meanwhile, Sato and Elle moved to the front lines. Just as expected, the ants weren't a match for Jenna and her team. With Sato and Lisa's help, only a few ants broke through inside, swiftly eliminated by Pochi and Tama's group. Tracking revealed some ants had reached Nadi's location, so Sato left things to lie and headed to the brokerage office. Upon arrival, Sato wielded a mace to slaughter the ants inside, but Nadi couldn't come up because antacid still lingered on the stairs. As Sato searched for something to cushion her steps, her manager appeared to help. To thank the two men for their rescue, she gifted each a kiss. Nadi explained her manager wasn't a human but a forest spirit, often mistaken for a human with long ears for millennia. After leaving, Sato saw the army destroying ant corpses. When Jenna spotted him, she ran over and clumsily fell into his arms, regretting their interrupted outing. Though eager to continue, she had urgent matters and promised to meet again. Then Sato noticed Lai being pressured by a military man to sell monster cores. Seeing the man trying to exploit government rules, Sato produced his merchant license and forced him to write a sales receipt. The man protested he wasn't a thief and didn't need this, but Sato, a seasoned merchant, knew even negotiations with gods demand caution. This uncovered the man's misreported figures, and Sato demanded full payment. Thanks to that money, the group later held a lavish feast at night. The innkeeper also gifted them extra dishes to thank Pochi and Tama for protecting the inn during the ant attack. Seeing Elle still ill, Sato went out to buy medicine. On the way, he met two people he had rescued from the labyrinth. Grateful, they insisted on repaying him, and Sato couldn't refuse. The result? He ended up at a tavern served by a few pretty waitresses. After leaving the bar, Sato spotted an owl feather. Shortly after, he heard fighting from a nearby alley. Rushing over, he encountered strange, shadowy figures and drew his gun. After dispatching them, he found the attacked person was a rat cavalry member Iona's group had mentioned. Despite severe injuries, he asked Sato to care for the princess first. Sato carried both to Nadi's place, but she and her manager were asleep, so he had to pick the lock to enter. Seeing this, the man insisted he wasn't a thief and had no reason to hide anything. But for Sato, a seasoned merchant, negotiating with a deity meant caution. That sharp eye caught a miswritten number, and he demanded full payment. Thanks to that money, when night fell, the group threw a lavish feast. The inn's owner even gifted them extra dishes to thank Pochi and Tama for protecting the inn during an ant attack. Seeing Elle still ill, Sato went out to buy medicine. On his way, he met two people he had saved in the labyrinth. Their heartfelt gratitude made Sato unable to refuse, leading him into a tavern where some young women served nearby. After leaving the bar, Sato spotted a black owl feather. Soon he heard a fight echoing in a nearby alley. Racing over, he encountered strange shadows and quickly drew his gun, taking them down. He then found the victim the rat knight Iona's group had mentioned. Though gravely wounded, the knight pleaded with Sato to care for the princess first. Sato carried both to Nadi's place, but she and the manager were asleep. He broke in, apologizing for the intrusion, explaining he wanted the manager to meet an acquaintance. However, the manager denied knowing the rat knight, but recognized the little fairy named Mia nearby. Hearing noise, Mia blinked open her eyes, complimented Sato's looks, then drifted back to sleep. Meanwhile, the rat knight's condition worsened. Seeing this, Nadi ran to fetch a priest for healing. Sato insisted on accompanying her, unwilling to let her face danger alone. The next morning, when Arisa learned Sato had visited the red light district, she scolded him. How could he ignore the youthful, blooming girls at home? He claimed to know the man, yet when the rat knight appeared, he suddenly denied any acquaintance. But the one Sato truly wanted them to see was the little fairy girl over there. Indeed, the manager knew her. Her name was Mia. Hearing the noise, Mia suddenly opened her eyes. Yet after seeing Sato and praising his beauty, she gently drifted back to sleep. Meanwhile, the old rat knight's condition worsened rapidly. Seeing this, Nadi decided to rush out to fetch a priest for healing. Sato insisted on going along, uneasy about letting her go alone. The next morning, when Arisa learned Sato had visited the red light district, she scolded him after all. A young, beautiful girl was right at home, yet he seemed oblivious to enjoying it. Besides, the young man smelled overwhelmingly of animal musk. Sato explained that last night he had gone out searching for medicine for Lulu and had accidentally rescued a beastman on the brink of death. Hearing this, Arisa's expression twisted with jealousy as she asked if the person was male or female. Despite Sato insisting it was a male, she twisted the story into something else. She joked that perhaps her master's love for swordsmanship was why he hadn't laid a finger on her. Suddenly, Lulu stirred awake, disturbed by their argument. Sato urged her to keep her strength and handed her a pouch of medicine. After changing clothes, he headed to Nadi's side, who informed him the rat knight had passed the critical phase. Mia, meanwhile, was unharmed but exhausted. The manager explained Mia's symptoms resembled a long-term mana depletion. When Sato used his appraisal skill, he found no illness or curses afflicting her. Though slow, her mana was gradually recovering. Nadi mentioned a mana potion could speed this up but at a steep price. Alternatively, they could take Mia to a place rich in mana like a ley line or mana source. Problem was, those spots were either the Count's castle or the Dragon Valley. The latter had already been conquered, leaving Sato torn about whether to venture there. Before he could decide, a noise upstairs caught his attention. Realizing Mia had woken, he told Nadi to go up with her. The moment she saw Sato, the girl said he was a spirit user. Yet Sato had never seen a fairy before. Nadi explained, only those with spiritual sight could perceive them. After the explanation, she told Sato to stay with Mia while she cooked downstairs. Left alone, the young man asked Mia what exactly a fairy was. He was stunned when she described them as soft and shimmering beings. Feeling helpless, Sato attempted to teach her to say good morning in Io language. This little act allowed him to learn the language too, revealing that fairies live along ley lines, nourishing them. Since he had left the kids alone for some time, Sato asked to return home. But seeing Mia reluctant to let him go, he promised he would come back soon. Upon returning to the inn, he found Arisa teaching letters to the demi-humans, prompting him to check their progress. To his surprise, all the flashcards with animals' pictures were summed up in one word by the kids: meat. Their bright, beaming faces made Arisa unable to scold them for it. It wasn't a mistake. For the sake of those kids' future, Sato didn't hesitate to correct them. Soon after, Martha appeared, urging Junie to stop fooling around and get back to work. But she was stunned when Junie said everything was already done. Turns out, with a little help from Tama and Pochi, Junie finished faster than anyone expected. During lunch, Sato shared the tale of Mia and the Mouse Knights with the group. When they learnt Mia was a princess, the girls eagerly asked if they could meet her. Lulu insisted on joining since her health had improved greatly. Seeing Mia in person, everyone was awestruck not just by her beauty, but also by the mesmerizing color of her hair. Watching this, Sato felt reassured and entrusted the kids with watching over Mia. Yet, it seemed Mia only spoke comfortably with strangers because Sato was nearby. Later, when Sato went downstairs, Nadi asked if he was a merchant. She found it strange that he didn't have a carriage like other traders. Sato spun a tale about his horse running off after a meteor shower. Hearing this, Nadi offered to introduce him to a carriage for sale belonging to a retiring merchant friend who also wanted to sell 2 horses. Sato appreciated the offer but admitted he didn't have a license to drive such a vehicle. That's when Lu chimed in, saying she had experience with horse carriages and could teach him. Sato immediately turned to Nadi and asked her to arrange the deal. Her surprise was palpable. He hadn't even asked about the price. Luckily, a carriage passed by the window just then, letting Sato gauge its value with his keen estimation skills. Thanks to that, Sato offered a fair price, including a commission for Nadi. The next day, Sato and the girls went camping outside the city walls. Under Arisa's expert guidance, they quickly prepared everything. She even conjured old-world items like a kettle. The moment water boiled, Tama's group burst out shouting at the strange noise. Sato explained, "That sound helps everyone know the water's boiled. It's the steam escaping that creates the noise." Arisa jumped in, saying such a technical explanation would confuse the kids. So she simplified it. When water boils, white steam forms, pushing the kettle's lid up. It's like when we blow air, steam makes a sound. After a hearty meal, Sato watched the kids playing, when suddenly he noticed 3 white dots approaching. They were the beastmen he had fed before, here to thank him with an abundance of fruit. Though he wanted to accept, Sato thought the kids needed the fruit more, so he gave them some meat in return, reminding himself to silence his 2 meat-loving leopards, who threatened to make a scene. The next day, Nadi handed over the carriage to Sato. Arisa suggested using it to take Mia home. Sato agreed immediately but needed to discuss it with the manager first. While waiting, he asked Lulu to teach him how to drive. Getting to know Lu, Sato realized she was surprisingly open. When he mentioned Arisa's little sister, Lulu spoke proudly about her prodigy sibling. Through their talk, Sato discovered Arisa hadn't told her sister about the memories she retained from her past life. Thanks to Lulu's coaching, Sato unlocked the carriage driving skill, quickly leveling it up after a few test runs. After a long ride, Lu grew tired. Suddenly, Sato sensed something strange ahead. Looking up into a tree branch, he spotted a jet-black owl staring intently before flying onto a passing carriage. Back at the brokerage office, Sato saw the kids gathered there too. Thanks to a mana vial brought by the manager, Mia was finally able to go outside. To celebrate the princess's recovery, Arisa proposed Sato throw a party. Of course, he happily agreed he wouldn't let the kids down. After sending Lisa and Lulu to buy supplies, Sato once again noticed the black owl observing them. Entering Nadi's house, he was told the old mouse elder had awakened. Meeting his savior, the elder introduced himself as Mai and recounted everything that happened to Mia. According to him, Mia had been kidnapped by a witch and imprisoned in a place called Grado. After escaping, she met Mai's group, who tried to bring her to the city's manager. Even the flying ants attacking the city were said to be commanded by that witch. Sato sensed the city manager was the only one who knew the full story but chose to stay silent. Not wanting to pry, Sato held back. Suddenly, the girls' chatter downstairs caught his attention. He and the manager rushed down, discovering the kids were scared of thunder. At that moment, Tama spotted the black owl inside the building. From the owl emerged a mysterious figure cloaked in black. The man used mental magic to control everyone, but Arisa resisted, wielding the same power. Sato also broke free thanks to his awakened skill after Arisa's earlier enchantment. Using appraisal abilities, Sato learned the man's name was Gen, reminding him of a hero from a play. Seeing Gen try to take Mia, Sato intervened and introduced himself, which upset the kids. After asking Lisa and Lulu to buy supplies for the party, Sato once again noticed a black owl watching them. When he entered Nadi's house, she informed him the old mouse had awakened. Upon meeting his savior, Old Mouse expressed gratitude and introduced himself as Mai, before recounting everything that happened with Mia. According to, the young girl had been kidnapped by a sorcerer and imprisoned in a place called Grado. After her daring escape, Mia crossed paths with Mai's group. Together, they vowed to bring her safely to the manager residing in this city. Even the swarm of flying ants attacking the city was orchestrated by that very sorcerer. Sato sensed that the Dew family manager was the only one who knew the truth, yet he seemed unwilling to reveal it, and Sato decided not to press further. Just then, Sato heard the faint voices of the girls downstairs. He and the manager hurried down, only to find them trembling in fear of thunder. At that moment, Tamma spotted a black owl lurking inside the building. Suddenly, from within the owl, emerged a mysterious figure, cloaked in black. This shadowy man unleashed a mental magic, seizing control over everyone present. But Arisa remained untouched, for she wielded the same kind of magic. Even Sato managed to break free, having awakened his skills after falling under Arisa's spell once before. Using his appraisal ability, the young man identified his opponent's name, Gen. The name sent a shiver down his spine, reminding him of the main character in a grand drama. Seeing Gen attempt to take Mia away, Sato boldly stepped in, introducing himself. Though he claimed to be a merchant, Gen stubbornly insisted he was a descendant of a hero. Gen didn't intend harm, he only wanted Mia handed over, but Sato immediately refused. Mia was more than just a friend, she was precious. Without hesitation, Gen launched the first strike, hoping to seize the advantage. Yet his assault failed miserably, and soon Gen found himself restrained by shadows conjured by General. Witnessing her master's peril, Arisa unleashed a fierce magical attack on him. Insulted as a lowly insect, the sorcerer retaliated with a fierce counterstrike, but Sato intervened, blocking the assault. Even the Dew family manager lent a hand, giving Sato the chance to slip from Gen's shadowy grip. Despite their combined efforts, the gap in power between the two sides was staggering. Not wanting to endanger anyone else, Mia urged them to leave her behind. Hearing this, Arisa scolded the girl, quietly casting a spell from behind. Realizing her move, Sato stepped forward, engaging Gen in conversation to divert his attention. Though aware of the enemy's true identity, Sato feigned ignorance to buy time. Once Arisa was ready, she signaled Sato to step aside so she could strike. But the attack failed, even with her unique magic unleashed. Spotting Arisa's purple hair, Gen instantly recognized her as a reincarnated soul. He warned Sato to advise her to restrain the power she'd just used. Otherwise, she risked becoming a mere plaything for the gods. Then, without hesitation, Gen seized Mia, wielding his whip of shadows to halt any rescue attempts. But despite unleashing her unique magic, she still failed. Seeing Arisa's purple hair, the enemy immediately recognized her as a reincarnator. He warned Sato to advise her to hold back on using that skill, otherwise she'd become a mere plaything for the gods. With that, he grabbed Mia and used shadowy lashes to restrain her. He then challenged Sato, if he wasn't afraid to die, to chase him to a place called the Cradle. Meanwhile, Elle's group arrived, and Sato told them to take care of the others while he pursued the enemy, promising to return safely with Mia. Passing through the gate, Sato found himself in a void-like space, where his stamina and endurance slowly drained away. Even his map-scanning skill failed to work here. After some thought, Sato realized this space resembled the game's mechanics. Using his programmer's instincts, he managed to break through the illusion. Before him stood a grand temple-like structure. Mia was there too, being cared for with gentle kindness. Just then, Gen appeared, astonished that Sato had made it this far. He accused Sato of cheating, saying only those who conquer the cradle can reach this chamber. Sato suspected Gen was an administrator of this realm. Gen retorted, "This isn't a game, it's a trial. Heroes who conquer this place earn the right to challenge the immortal king. me. But Sato wasn't interested in these games. His priority was rescuing Mia. Yet, he couldn't act immediately because the sorcerer pushed him out of the king's chamber, forcing him to conquer the cradle's trials all over again. At this point, Sato regained his map-scanning ability. Using it, he discovered this place bordered Count Ryu's territory, rich in mana, easing his worries about Mia's rescue. Still, Sato refused to return empty-handed and resolved to enter the giant tree to save her. Upon entering, he immediately encountered enemies, but they were just low-level monsters that posed no real threat. Thanks to his map skill, Sato learned the cradle had 200 floors, grouped in sets of 10. Every 20 floors, a spiral staircase led upward, but the monsters grew stronger as he ascended. After advancing some distance, Sato spotted someone sleeping behind a pile of leaves. When she revealed herself, he realized she was a Raz. Sato thought that defeating her might grant him access to the next floor, but since she was out of mana, she postponed the fight for another time. However, after watching him for a while, Dry found Sato quite handsome and asked him to become hers, confessing she was hungry and wanted Sato to feed her. "Give me something to eat," she pleaded. He offered dried beef, but Dryas refused. It wasn't food she craved, but mana. With no other choice, he let her draw it from his mouth. The rush of mana from this handsome young man left Dryas deeply satisfied. Energized, she then opened a path for Sato deeper inside. There, he discovered an abandoned laboratory. Inside, he found a journal belonging to someone named Toya. It revealed that his Io tribe had a strangely weak will to survive. Many young ones had perished in the labyrinths. This cradle was created to instill the fierce survival instinct missing in his people when danger loomed. Yet, for 100 years, no one had completed it. The cradle's owner admitted this was a grave mistake, and sealed it away until the Io tribe truly needed it again. Seeing the name Toya, Sato realized he shared lineage with Mia and the administrators, hinting why Mia's presence here was so vital. Leaving the room, Sato asked Dryas how to ascend the upper floors. Cheerfully, she told him to stand among the fairy mushrooms and asked which floor he wished to reach. Sato said he wanted to see the cradle's master's chamber, but Dryas warned it was impossible. She could only take him as high as the 100th floor. That floor housed powerful defense engineers, so she cautioned him to be extremely careful. On the 100th floor, Sato faced 3 strikingly similar girls, accompanied by a massive golem. Unprepared, the girls asked him not to attack yet, telling him to arm himself first. They explained that defeating their guard team was the only way forward and victory would bring a reward. The girl in the middle commanded the level 30 iron golem to attack. Sato noticed a glowing E above it, and cleverly shot the letter off with his gun. The E symbolized death once destroyed. The golem fell. The girls, all programmed, feigned shock but soon decided to retreat, even using stalling tactics. After a coordinated strike, 2 withdrew, leaving the last girl to fight alone, only to be knocked out with a single punch. After gently laying the 7th girl down, Sato explored the 100th floor chamber, finding valuable weapons and rare medicines. He took what he needed and pressed onward. There, he found Dryas withered and seemingly lifeless. Thinking she was dead, Sato poured water on her to soothe her. But at that moment she awoke, grabbed the water, drank, and asked to draw mana from him again, just like before. Refreshed by the mana, Dryas explained that all dryads were connected, so she knew what had happened below. Sato then asked how many floors she could take him up. Suddenly, Dryas lost connection with the upper floors, and could only carry him to the 180th. Upon arrival, they found the connection severed by bugs biting the vines linking the floors. No sooner had Sato finished speaking than the bugs swarmed. Though numerous, they posed no real threat to him. Sato's rapid conquest of the cradle amazed Gen, but Sato cared only about one thing: Gen releasing Mia peacefully. However, the sorcerer declared Sato not yet strong enough to face him, and must first defeat his underlings to earn the hero's title. He promised Sato a long-lost holy sword as a reward. Presenting it to any king would grant unimaginable glory. Then, the sorcerer summoned all his minions to challenge Sato. The young man noticed a new addition to the homunculi team. Only 7 remained, since he had already defeated one below. Sato was stunned to see the sorcerer not only empower his minions, but also boost Sato himself. Before he could ask why, the sorcerer found a high vantage point to watch the battle. As soon as he left, his minions launched a furious assault on Sato. To slay the golems, Sato wielded a spear, mastering its skills and upgrading it to max level to pierce through them. Against the homunculi, he relied on martial arts to subdue them, yet no matter how many times they fell, they rose again, an unyielding spirit that baffled him. Confused, Sato asked why they were willing to sacrifice themselves for a master who saw them only as pawns. In unison, they revealed it was their deepest wish. Renewed, they charged him with desperate fury until exhaustion finally pinned them down, unable to rise again. Before the last homunculus fainted, She begged Sato to help her master fulfill his wish. Impressed, the sorcerer praised Sato's performance and, true to his word, handed over the holy sword as his reward. Sato then asked what the sorcerer's true wish was. The answer pierced the air. He sought a hero to end his life. In his past, he died under cruel injustice. God reincarnated him as an infant, born to loving parents and kind friends, sparking hope for a brighter life. But fate twisted cruelly when a noble kidnapped his wife and executed him and his family on false charges. Blessed by God, he lived again, transforming his sacrificed kin into andets as he pursued vengeance. After completing his revenge, he sought death to reunite with his loved ones. Yet divine blessing forbade this, leaving him to become an immortal king of shadows. Now, with the awaited hero before him, he asked Sato to free him before he turned fully into a demon lord. Sato had no reason to refuse, and granted his wish with the holy sword before the sorcerer faded away. The King of Darkness thanked Sato sincerely, his gratitude shining through even as he disappeared, an ending both tragic and cathartic, leaving us to ponder the true meaning of mercy and redemption. The joy of being about to reunite with his wife filled Sato's heart. But just as the haze of Gen completely faded, strange voices whispered in his ears. They said this time he had won, but next time, everything would be different. As the voices vanished, the system suddenly announced that the cradle had activated its self-destruct sequence. Hearing this, Sato rushed to Mia's side to wake her up, asking gently if she knew how to stop the self-destruct process. But even Mia was at a loss, so Sato had no choice but to fumble through it himself. In doing so, he realized there was never any intention to harm Mia, so he quickly set up an escape route just for her. Then, gathering the homunculi close to her, he told Mia to go ahead, for he needed to save another homun. Once Mia safely left the cradle, Sato plunged down to floor 180, then used the hole created during his fight with the jumping bugs to descend further to floor 100. After finding Homer number 7, he hurried to Dry's location, asking her to help both of them escape the giant tree. But Dry needed some seeds and energy to do so. Thanks to the fruits given by the beast children, the first condition was easy to meet. For the second condition, Dry warned him it would cost 3 times more energy than before. Still, Sato agreed without hesitation, as his mana had fully recovered. Hearing this, Dry began siphoning energy and connected with a tree outside the cradle. This allowed her to swiftly transport Sato's group outside, while advising him to run because the collapsing cradle was turning into a sea of salt. At that moment, Sato urged Dry to leave as well, but she refused. As long as the forest lived, she could survive. Then, Sato learned all the skills that could help him run fast and traverse the terrain, but even that wasn't enough to escape his dire situation. After running for a while, he suddenly spotted a lake. Through it, he recalled how a kettle boils water, so Sato used a fireball to send water flying high, creating walls of water. This clever move slowed the salt wave's speed dramatically, giving him enough time to outrun the danger and reach safety. At dawn, Du's group and Sato's slaves rejoiced upon seeing him, so much so that even the fierce Lisa broke down in tears she couldn't hold back. Seeing Arisa, Sato remembered Gen's warning. He must restrain her from using the God-given power. If she didn't, she would share his tragic fate. After the reunion was complete, Du and Mia approached Sato. The girl was overjoyed that he kept his promise to return unharmed. To show her gratitude, the Io tribe princess gifted Sato a tender kiss. Soon after, the Homins awoke. The girls expressed deep thanks to Sato for helping their master fulfill his wish. In return, they pledged loyalty to him from now on. But before joining Sato's journey, they needed to carry Genen's ring to his wife's grave. Not all 8 would go. One would stay behind to accompany Sato. After a game of rock, paper, scissors, Homer number 7 was chosen to stay. To make things easier, Sato named her Nana. With everything settled, the Night Chut and the 7 homunculi bid farewell to the group, each stepping forward on their own path. After returning to the city, Sato explained his disappearance. He had been captured by a mysterious summoner and was only freed thanks to the aid of 6 swordsmen. Jenna rushed to see him, her heart heavy with worry during his absence. Seeing her distress, Sato soothed her with gentle words and presented the earrings he had bought earlier at the flea market as a gift. Then, Sato revealed his plan to leave the city and head to his homeland, the Io village. The news struck Jenna like a lightning bolt. She had hoped he wouldn't leave again. Yet her calm returned when Sato promised firmly, sealing it with a confident grin. Early the next morning, Sato's group set out for Io village, not forgetting to bid farewell to those who had supported them in the city. Not long after leaving the city gates, Sato spotted Rina galloping behind them, and they shared a private conversation in the forest. Jenna confessed she couldn't accompany Sato now, but with spring, her younger brother would become head of their family, freeing her to travel. She hoped by then Sato would allow her to journey alongside him. Seeing Sato's sorrowful expression after parting ways, Arisa comforted him, reminding him he wasn't Alanesh, and the other girls stood by his side. Her words eased the weight in Sato's heart. helping him cherish what he had in the present. After traveling a fair distance, they paused to eat lunch. The meals prepared by Lulu, Liza, and Nana were so delicious that Sato praised their efforts. Noticing Mia's picky eating, Sato gently reminded her, but Arisa explained that the Io tribe couldn't eat meat. After their satisfying meal, Elle prepared snacks for the road. Seeing this, Arisa stepped forward, saying she would store them in the item box. She explained that each time one deposits or withdraws items, it consumes a considerable amount of Manon like Sato's storage scroll, which required no trade-off. Though Sato wasn't fully familiar with all the capabilities of his storage scroll, he had grown accustomed to life in this other world and decided to explore its mysteries later. The group finished resting and prepared to continue. Before departing, Sato assigned tasks to each member to prepare their gear. Seeing Mia's recovery since her kidnapping by Jen brought him great joy. Suddenly, Arisa approached Sato, asking if she could fix the straw mattress some strands poked out and made her itchy. Sato told her to remove the entire mattress so he could repair it properly. He even wrapped it with red clay, like soft leather, astonishing Arisa. She joked that he must want their behinds to stay soft for future comfort. The girls were amazed by Sato's sewing skills, but all that was for naught since he forgot to tie off the thread's ends. After fixing the mattress, he crafted a stuffed duck plush. Nana found it utterly adorable and wanted one for herself. Not wanting anyone to miss out, Sato made one for each of them. Renewed, they pressed onward, stopping again when fatigue set in. When Lai said it was time to move, Sato lingered a bit longer. To let Pochi and Tama play, he sent them to investigate nearby rocks. Intrigued, Arisa decided to join the kids. Meanwhile, under a tree, Nana watched Mia play a leaf flute with a soulful melody, prompting Sato to praise her talent. Seeing Sato's enthusiasm, Nana asked Mia to teach her. Sato quickly reminded Nana that Mia disliked being called a princess. Soon, Elle and Lulu joined in. Everyone showed promise except Sato, who was hopeless despite leveling up his musical skills. His leaf flute playing was a tragic contrast to Kanon's singing ability. Even Arisa couldn't believe her ears. Putting that aside, Arisa asked Sato to follow her a little way off. He was stunned to see the Torii gates before him, feeling an uncanny familiarity. Suddenly, a memory flashed a girl from his past, promised they'd be together forever, no matter the world or era, and that he was still Ichiro. Sato recalled the shrine in that memory was behind his grandfather's house, though he wasn't certain if the girl was his secret confidante. She mentioned that human and divine lifespans differed, so their union required divine intervention. Just then, Arisa's call snapped him from his reverie. Sato checked himself, no signs of mental intrusion. He remembered creating a game based on that shrine setting but had no recollection of the dialogue, suspecting it came from the game or something similar. On closer inspection, he realized it was a travel gate, though broken and useless for now. As Sato returned, Pochi excitedly ran up to show off her prize. Lu, eager to learn butchering, followed Lai for guidance. Seeing Pochi and Chi dirtied from rabbit hunting, Sato asked Mia if she knew any gentle water magic for cleaning. Just then, Tama returned, carrying an adorable firewolf cub. Arisa asked to hold the creature, but since it was a monster, Sato warned her to be careful. Unfortunately, she lost grip, and the cub escaped, leaving Tama sad. Arisa apologized, but Tama said it was okay. Still, Tama's sorrow lingered, so Sato comforted her, assuring that as long as she was safe, there would be more chances. Pochi's stomach growled from the earlier exertion, prompting Arisa to pull out food from the item box for the kids. They ate heartily, even though the food wasn't hot anymore. Once finished, the group resumed their journey. During a break, Sato checked his storage scroll and found a book on photography magic. It appeared after defeating Jen, automatically added to his inventory. Through the book, Sato realized that magic here functioned much like programming languages is, if the world's magic system was created by a programmer. This revelation opened new doors of understanding for Sato, hinting at a deeper connection between magic and technology in this world of mystery, waiting to be unraveled as their journey continued. Sato just realized that life magic is a labyrinth of complexity. It defies the basics of any known magic. Instead of blind imitation, he studied the essential techniques behind life magic, then wove elements of water magic into an algorithm crafting a brand new spell. Lost in his research, he suddenly felt something soft beneath his hand. Pushing his studies aside, he looked up. It was Nana's chest. Seeing this, Arisa and Mia immediately called him a pervert, yet it was Nana who had pressed it into his hand herself. Suddenly, Sato spotted white dots appearing on his map marked as rat people. His mind raced back to old Rat Mai's words. The old man had set out to find lost comrades who had gone missing while protecting Mia. So Sato told T-Mel to halt their carriage and approached the wagon owner to negotiate for the release of those rat people. When reunited with Princess Mia A, the group rushed forward, embracing her tightly and showering Sato with gratitude for rescuing her and the others. However, the knights had urgent matters to attend to and politely excused themselves. Later that afternoon, wanting to replenish food supplies, Sato teamed up with Tama for a hunt. He chose her hoping to lift her spirits after the wolf incident. But the girls got muddy again, so Sato asked Mia to try out the new magic he'd just invented, transforming water magic into cleansing bubbles. The spell worked perfectly, washing away every stain clinging to the girls. That night, as the girls drifted into sleep, Sato kept watch, restless and curious. He ran experiments with his storage vault. Through trial, he discovered he could retrieve items up to 3 meters away. The vault could separate components of mixtures, but dissolved solutions like salt water remained inseparable. He also tested dissecting insect corpses to save T-Mel time from butchering prey caught by Tama and Pochi. Despite many attempts, it was a no-go. Still, the storage vault trumped Arisa's item box. Proof came when he placed 2 burning papers inside. The paper from Arisa's box was completely extinguished when pulled out, but the one from his vault blazed fiercely. That next morning, Sato prepared a lavish meal for his slaves. In truth, he had cooked it the night before and stored it in the vault, keeping it piping hot until served. After breakfast, the group pressed onward. They soon met old Rat Mai and his comrades again, who had built a grave for the rat warriors who gave their lives defending Mia. Moved, Mia stepped beside the tomb and sang a prayerful song to honor the brave fallen soldiers. Then old Rat Mai gifted Sato a bell called the Silence Bell, a symbol of trust earned from Princess Mia. The papers taken from the storage were still blazing fiercely. The next morning, Sato prepared a lavish meal for his slaves. In truth, he had cooked it the night before and kept it warm in the storage. After breakfast, the group resumed their journey. After traveling some distance, they reunited with old Rat Mai and his comrades. They had built a tomb to honor the rat warriors who sacrificed themselves protecting Mia. Seeing this, Mia stepped beside the grave and sang a prayerful song, wishing peace for the brave fallen soldiers. Then old Rat Mai gifted Sato a bell called the Silence Bell, symbolizing the trust the youth had earned from Princess Mia. After a long journey, Sato stopped at a lively town to enjoy some drinks. Not only did he generously tip the waitress, but he also paid for the whole tavern to stop their bickering and simply savor the food and drink. As Sato was about to leave, the waitress suddenly led him upstairs. It turned out this tavern doubled as a love hotel, and she offered Sato a special service. The next morning, Mia and Arisa scolded him loudly for cheating. Before he could explain, the group noticed a man bullying a married couple. The man's staring made Sato uneasy, until Elle explained he was the one who forced them to sell monster cores. Sato then approached the couple to hand them a healing potion. Thanks to the potion, the husband was able to mend his broken bone. Seeing this, Arisa asked Sato if it was wise to give away their limited supply since they might need it later. Her concern made sense, so during their rest, Sato began studying alchemy. Thanks to a formula he already knew, he quickly learned to create a healing potion. However, if it wasn't properly sealed, it wouldn't work as intended. Inspecting the sample bottle, Sato discovered a magical ring inscribed beneath it, preserving the potion's essence. Noticing his stock was running low, he decided to visit the nearest town tomorrow. That night, Sato worked late crafting a mysterious magical item. Arisa, curious, eagerly tested it at first, but her excitement faded when she realized it only made mana swirl aimlessly. Then Sato gave it a try, overloading the magic until it burst, jolting all the girls awake in shock, mistaking it for an enemy attack. Sato earned the title of Manifestation of Chaos that night. The next morning, they arrived at a town named Noki. Together with Leah, Sato sought directions to an alchemy shop. Just as they approached, a man stepped out, blocking their path and ready to use force. But upon seeing Sato's face, he backed off, calling his subordinates to retreat. Inside, Sato asked to purchase potion-making supplies. Monster cores were scarce and expensive, 1 silver coin per vial. Coincidentally, Sato's storage was brimming with monster cores, though selling them without a license was illegal, a problem for another day. He also inquired about stabilizers and magical scrolls. Despite the abundance, acquiring them required trading cores of level 3 or higher. The last thing on his list was potion bottles, but the elderly man they'd met outside had bought them all, backed by a city permit, leaving the shopkeeper powerless to refuse. Instead, the shopkeeper suggested visiting pottery stores. After leaving, Sato told Leah to go home and prepare dinner while he hunted for bottles. Every pottery store was sold out. As night fell, Sato disguised himself and returned to the alchemy shop to trade monster cores, an illegal business. Yet the shopkeeper was sincere, refusing to sell dangerous magic scrolls to strangers. Thus, Sato only obtained basic scrolls, like shields and marks. Next, he mastered the skills in the scrolls, using them to explore dark areas his map couldn't reach. Venturing deeper into the forest, Sato suddenly crossed an invisible barrier. Using his appraisal skill, he realized it disoriented travelers, erasing their sense of direction. The dark spots on his map glowed white dots approaching rapidly. Intruders were unwelcome. Hirano no wonder the forest guardians appeared so swiftly. The armored leader was a girl barely older than a child. Sato found himself fighting while apologizing for trespassing. When his magic proved useless, she summoned her master. Suddenly, a giant bird swooped down, pinning the girl beneath its weight. From the bird's back emerged an elderly witch, who knelt and introduced herself as the guardian of this illusionary forest's mana source, apologizing for her pupil's rudeness. Through their conversation, Sato learned she mistook him for an envoy from the Bolinan clan because of the bell he wore. He explained he was merely escorting someone from that tribe. The witch's pupil, Ian, arrived and bowed deeply to apologize. Sato told her to lift her head. He shared in the blame. Together, they began brewing healing potions to uphold their pact. The witch revealed their agreement with Count Kuhano, delivering 300 potions twice yearly to keep criminals and hunters out of the forest. Seeing Sato's interest in alchemy, she gladly taught him a special recipe, asking only for a favor in return. Then, she conjured a glowing path to guide Sato safely out of the forest. It turned out the favor was delivering a letter to the giant who dwelled within these woods. The next morning in a tavern, Sato overheard two men grumbling that the witches had supplied all their potions for this round, and clearly, they weren't pleased. Soon the craftsman who made potion bottles appeared. Sato wanted him to teach the craft, but town rules forbid sharing trade secrets. However, one loophole was to register as an apprentice potter, which Sato considered. Meanwhile, his spying revealed that a white-haired man planned to usurp the lordship from the town's governor. At that moment, Arisa and two others called him back. It was past their bedtime. The next day, on the way to the pottery workshop, Sato noticed Yae being chased by shady figures. Panicked over her precious potions, she was saved just in time by Sato's group. Yet a trap awaited beyond the gate. A carriage crashed into ambushes. Many precious bottles destined for the Count shattered, leaving only 120 intact. Some broken vials still held potion, so Sato reclaimed about 10,000 milliliters back into his storage, enough to fill 40 perfect bottles. Sato's healing potion craft was tied to keeping a pact. Through an old woman, he learned they had an agreement with Count Kuhano. Twice a year, they must provide 300 potions. In return, the Count keeps criminals and hunters out of the forest. Noticing Sato's keen interest, the old woman happily taught him a special recipe on the condition he helped her with a task. She then created a path of light to guide Sato out of the forest. We learned that her request was to deliver a letter to the giant living within. The next morning at the tavern, Sato overheard two men talking. They mentioned that the witches seemed to have finally supplied enough potions for the upcoming round, and it seems those two men aren't pleased with the situation. Just then, the artisan who crafts the medicine cases that Sato needs to meet has arrived. The purpose of this meeting. Sato wants him to teach how to make that special item, but, by the town's rules, the artisan can't just teach anyone. Yet, there's a loophole registering as a pottery apprentice. So Sato takes his chance. He uses his skills to eavesdrop on the two men, and learns that the white-haired man is plotting to become the lord, replacing the town chief. At that moment, Arisa and two other girls suddenly show up, calling him back. It's past their curfew. The next morning, while guiding the girls to the pottery workshop, Sato notices Yae being chased by a group of shady men behind her. Yae is frantic, terrified her batch of medicines will be damaged. Luckily, Sato's group arrives just in time to rescue her from those thugs. But a trap lies beyond the gate. The carriage crashes into ambushes. The result? A huge number of medicine bottles meant for the Count shatter into pieces. Only 120 bottles remain intact, though some broken ones still hold a bit of liquid inside. Sato quickly recovers the remaining medicine into his storage. Altogether, there's about 10,000 milliliters, enough to remake around 40 complete bottles. Then, the group heads to deliver the intact bottles to the town chief. But he shows no mercy, digging into the treaty to make things difficult. His voice sounds familiar, yet Sato can't place when they met. The young man tries to negotiate, offering to compensate with bottles bought from the market. But the town chief refuses again. According to him, only medicines crafted by witches are acceptable. Sato, however, never heard the old witch mention this. He realizes the town chief's real plan, to block the treaty's approval. Suddenly, he recalls this man was the one he overheard yesterday. His goal? To erase the illusion forest and build a new town there. Sato firmly states this isn't part of the treaty and demands to know who added those clauses. Hearing this, the town chief fires back, questioning how Sato knows the treaty's details, and the chief broke into a sweat when Sato said he was acquainted with the witch in the forest. Eventually, he agreed to accept potions of equivalent quality as compensation. Of course, Sato didn't forget to ask for a written confirmation to avoid any second thoughts. Though the negotiation succeeded, only 3 hours remained before the deadline. Y sadly said there was no way to prepare the missing amount in time. At that moment, Leah's group appeared, bringing a ton of ingredients for making potions. Even with the materials, they claimed it was impossible because they didn't have enough bottles to hold the potions. Suddenly, Sato understood why those two men had been quietly buying so many bottles earlier. No wonder they seemed so calm. When Sato's group said they needed 180 bottles, the pottery workshop owner was stunned. But Sato didn't want to drag him into this mess, just needed to borrow the kiln. Seeing their struggle, the owner agreed and even offered to help make the bottles. Then Sato assigned tasks to everyone, encouraging the girls to unite and overcome this challenge together. Yet this was no easy feat. As newcomers, they struggled to control the centrifugal force of the potter's wheel. Only Sato could shape the bottles perfectly thanks to his skill system. But the real problem was drying them. They needed 5 days to dry in this season's weather. If they were put straight into the kiln wet, they'd explode. Upon hearing this, Sato used the system to conjure a magic that removes moisture. Mia A tested it, and the bottles dried completely. They then resumed shaping the bottles. Once they had enough, the pottery owner fired them all in the kiln. While waiting, they helped Ayn with potion brewing. When the brewing finished, the group checked on the kiln. The owner said all that was left was to cool the bottles, and they could use them at sunset. Suddenly, the greedy merchant appeared with some thugs, accusing Sato's group of making bottles without permission. According to town law, he threatened to destroy the kiln. The kiln was smashed, and all the potions shattered. Nothing remained. After the thugs left, Sato apologized to the pottery owner and borrowed the bird on Ironie's head to contact the witch. Soon after, Arisa noticed something was off about the broken pieces. Seeing this, Sato smiled and said he had deliberately placed some defective bottles among them to outwitting our foes. Sato swiftly secured the genuine vials into storage the moment he spotted the deceitful merchant. Then, he pulled out one vial for Arisa to inspect, and it shattered instantly. The culprit? A sudden temperature shift from the cold storage to the outside air. Now, the urgent task was to find a way to cool the vials down. That's when Sato's mind flashed to the item box. He recalled an experiment where he threw a burning piece of paper inside, only for it to be extinguished when taken out. So Sato transferred a vial into the item box and then returned it to storage. Sure enough, it cooled perfectly, just as he had guessed. After that, the group headed to the white-haired merchant's office to get the delivery confirmation signed. The sly merchant doubted the story, but grew silent when the Count's men vouched for it. He then demanded to know what trick Sato had used, only for Sato to reply plainly that it was all thanks to everyone's sweat and hard work. Next, Sato urged the merchant to sign and seal the papers quickly, but the man ignored him, refusing to cooperate and stalling for time. At that moment, Count Kuhano suddenly appeared, declaring he would sign the papers for Sato. His presence here was because the witch had revealed all the merchant's wicked deeds. That's also why Sato had used the bird atop Ye's head to contact her. Cornered by the Count's pressure, the white-haired merchant then betrayed them, casting a spell to attack, but his magic was nothing against the Count. For to rise to such a rank, the Count was no ordinary man. As he prepared to eliminate the two villains, Sato intervened, knocking them out. When the Count asked why, Sato said, "There are children here." Hearing this, the Count sheathed his sword and remarked that the witch had a wonderful friend. Before departing, Sato apologized once more to the pottery master, who waved it off, saying it was fine. Thanks to this incident, he had the Count's permission to trade freely. To show her gratitude, Ine gifted Sato a magical lantern. On top of that, the old witch bestowed upon him the title of Friend of the Witch. And so, the group continued on their journey. The next morning, Sato opened his eyes to find Nana sitting atop him. Just as he reached out to touch her, Arisa caught them in the act and tried to stop any naughty business. But Nana only wanted Sato to adjust her system platform. To do so, he needed to place his hand near her heart and pour mana in. At that moment, Mia appeared and suggested Sato touch Nana's back instead of her chest, since his hand would still be close to her heart without losing effectiveness. Though Sato followed Mia's advice, Nana let out sounds that no one would want to hear with parents nearby. Arisa grew jealous, itching to replace Nana's spot. Meanwhile, every time Jenna received a letter from Sato, she proudly showed it to her teammates, then smiled quietly to herself as she read his words. While the group was dining, Elle and Pochi brought a wild plant. Pochi insisted it was edible because it smelled so fragrant. Curious, Sato tested it first and found it surprisingly sweet. After confirming it was safe, he invited Pochi and Tama to try it. But instead of eating normally, they licked his hands slowly. Seeing this, Arisa handed Sato a cloth, but when she tried to use it as an excuse to lick his hand, he stopped her. That night, Pochi asked Sato to read a story to everyone. But after just a short while, 3 girls couldn't fight sleep any longer and decided to pause the tale and rest in the carriage. The next